16th pick in the 2014 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Zack Martin.
Oh my God!
An offensive tackle! What?
You're at the party, guys. What did you think when they called his name?
Well, thanks to Facebook, my uncle told me it wasn't going to be Johnny Football, so I was like, oh, okay. But I had a great time. Go Cowboys.
Always a good fan. Okay, what about you? What'd you think?
I'm an Aggie fan, so I was going for Johnny Football. I mean, I think he did a bad mistake by not picking Johnny Football. We know we need a new quarterback, and I mean, Johnny was a guy. I don't know.
I like all the good, strong opinions. Did you have fun tonight?
Yes, I really did have a great time here at AT&T Stadium. It rocked out completely, and this was my first year. I wish they would have selected Johnny Manziel, but they selected either a tackle or something. So
Well, that's good. You know what? We're expecting production from that. Anybody else?
I'm thrilled with the pick. I actually believe in Romo. I think he can get it done. We built the offensive line up. Now we just got to go grab some defensive players, and this kind of shows that Jerry kind of stepped back a little bit, and I like that.
We are back, the One Star Cowboys podcast. I'm Kevin Turner. We have John Machota, Saad Youssef, and Kent Garrison, of course. It's been a while, and there's a lot to catch up on. We had a retirement of one of the all-time Cowboys greats. We've had a signing. We've had the combine, and free agency is next week. So while one team in the Metroplex is on fire, one team is at spring training, one team is making a playoff push, we are Cowboys just kind of quietly doing work. Start with you, John. I don't think we should go chronologically. Let's go to today. Zack Martin, his retirement ceremony today. Saw you got out there, just in the crowd. The camera comes to you. We had Hot Mike Steven, all the good stuff. What'd you think about today out at the Star?
The highlight for me is Zach's daughter. I'm not good with ages, but I mean, can't be any older than maybe 4 or 5, whatever. They bring everybody up for pictures after. And it's a pretty lengthy process. And like almost throughout all of it, she just kept saying, cheese, to get everybody to smile because there's about 10 cameras in front of her. And I was dying. Like, I just thought it was the funniest thing. Maybe other people weren't as interested in it. But that was, to me, the highlight because I'll tell you, from talking to Jerry and Steven, like, it just was nothing really, it's nothing different than them in the past. And the reason why I say that is because I did think there might be a shift in momentum. So let me take you back to last Friday in Indianapolis. So we're told that, Jerry was going to talk to you guys on the bus at 4:00, which is something we knew earlier in the week. And but it doesn't sound like that's going to happen. Jerry's got meetings and things like that once he gets in. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, we'll get him at the hotel. We just got to wait it out. So myself and some other reporters waited at the Marriott that they're at for about 6 hours. And I felt like Cowboys PR might have been playing a little defense to try and keep us from seeing wherever the eagle had left the nest. They didn't want us to know. And so even later on that night, after finally going to get something to eat, there was this talk of, he might be just leaving after he's going to meet with the coaches and the scouts. They're going to go do their normal dinner that they do, and then he might fly out tonight. I didn't believe that. And so myself and another reporter went back the next morning and sat there waiting in the lobby for another few hours, not knowing if Jerry would ever come out. And then here comes Jerry. And he literally was dressed like not normal Jerry. He was dressed in a black jacket, a black hat, and sunglasses. And he really reminded me of the pictures you see of celebrities leaving Nobu. And he was by himself. It wasn't like he was anybody else. So I'm like, hey, Jerry, do you got a minute for us? And he's like, no, I can't. I got to go, blah, 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 whatever. And he just kind of kept walking. He's like, I'll get you guys back in Dallas. I'm just kind of like, what is going on here? And he walked to the team bus, and there were others that came by the bus like a minute or two later, other coaches. So it wasn't like he was the last guy on the bus and like they had been waiting for him. And just how typical Jerry is, like he normally in those situations, he'll at least small talk, might give you like a few minutes or whatever. And the way he wouldn't even stop, I was like, Well, that's very weird, but it also might be something wild. Like maybe they're working on trading up in the draft. Maybe they're working on getting a deal to get at the top of the draft to get Travis Hunter. Maybe they're working on a deal to trade Micah Park. I don't know. And so I'm thinking like, man, this is really bizarre, And so we get there today, and they said that Jerry would talk after, so don't basically ask him any questions about the Cowboys while he's sitting up at the podium. And then he talked for about 10, 11 minutes, and it was just like normal Jerry. So my only conclusion from all of that is he didn't want to talk about anything that could have impacted the Osa Odighi-Zua contract. Just bizarre, man.
That's strange for him because usually he goes ahead and, hey, okay, we'll talk for a minute.
I'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
It literally was going to be a perfect lead to whatever story I wrote about whatever trade that they were going to make. Because I was like, I've never seen him do that. Like, not only to not talk, but like to just like keep walking like that. It was just so bizarre.
I thought it was good when Zach, you hear him talk about Jason Garrett, and he kind of got a little choked up, when he was reading his prepared statement. Zach knew what he was doing. And then like the transition from McCarthy, and talking about how that was different. I thought that was like a little bit interesting because I think like fans' perceptions of some of these guys, I'm talking about the coaches even at times. It's like, man, those are two coaches that the players actually like really liked playing for. And I thought that was a little bit interesting. But like with Zach is exactly what you think he is. He's just pretty straightforward guy. So I was expecting fireworks today. I liked a good little hot Mike Steven laughing at Zach making the joke that he married his best friend's sister, which he did do, But other than that, I was like, there's nothing too crazy going on here. Maybe Jerry admitting that he was wrong on the Manziel thing,
Yeah. Well, I mean, PR. It was made clear to PR that by you guys not making Jerry available to us in Indy, and then he talks after that stuff will overshadow because we already knew he was retiring. So it's like, yes, that, there'll be stories about his Zach's retirement, but a lot of it's going to be overshadowed by Jerry hasn't talked. They've made a few moves. They've done some restructuring of their top two contracts. So this is going to overshadow Zach's deal, So that's what made it strange as well. And then the other thing I was just going to add is that when he was rattling off all the names of the players he played with, which is always such a risky move to do, just like if you win an award as a musician or an actor, or whatever, that, you don't want to forget anybody. If you start going deep, you better include everybody. And I thought he did a good job of naming everybody.
Yeah, well, I want to pick up on that point right there. I thought one thing that stood out to me, not just between his press conference, but also his Players Tribune article was like you could tell his affinity for Dak is just so high. I mean, the way that he even when he was rattling off the names, I mean, he mentioned Romo and but he's like, my quarterback, Dak Prescott. And I'm not reading too much into that in that sense, but then you read about his Players Tribune article. And when he's talking about the complications that he was going through with his son in the hospital, and then he singled out Dak again in that article afterwards. So I thought that did kind of stand out to me a little bit about just how he spoke about Dak.
No, absolutely, and just Romo being there too. I mean, it's not like we see Romo out at the Star very often, So just think about that with it. Really one full year with Romo when Zach got there, and then you had the injury year, and then Dak's there. So it's like pretty much it was Dak his whole career.
Yeah.
And the other thing,
he probably played as many games with Cooper Rush as he did Tony Romo.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. No, that's probably right. The other thing I was thinking, and I'll be quick here on this, like it is so insane to think that Johnny Manziel would have been a studious backup. Anyway, it's not too Skin made the point today, and he was like, on my radio show, Skin Wade, and he was like, dude, Johnny might have died here if he was here in a backup role with the people he was hanging out with. Like, it could have been bad. And I don't think that's it's dark, but I don't think it's far off. And that draft's wild. I mean, you look at Mike Evans at 7th, you have Blake Bortles going up number 3, and obviously the Ryan Shazier thing at 15. So there's a lot of good memories with Zack Martin. Osa is done. 4 years at 80. Were you shocked to see that? We'll start with you, Sal. Were you shocked that the Cowboys were able to get that done at 4 at 80 and 53 guaranteed?
Not shocked, but surprised for sure. I mean, they usually drag a lot of these extensions out. But at the same time, I think you have to differentiate between those record-setting extensions like Dak and CD and what Osa did. I mean, Osa's extension falls more in line with giving Trayvon Diggs an extension more than it does what they did with Dak and CD last year. I think Micah will be the real indicator of did they learn from last year. But I was still surprised. I thought they were going to tag Osa, and I thought this was going to drag on a little bit. I thought throughout free agency, that cap number of $25.1 million for Osa's franchise tag would hamper them a little bit, and they'd kind of keep talking back about how they're working on a deal. So that was my prediction. That's how that would go. But I did think ultimately they would land a long-term deal with Osa, and so that part of it wasn't shocking. I guess just the timing of it was a little bit, but again, it's different from the, top ceiling record setting contracts. That's not what Osa was ever going to be. That's, if you're talking about that kind of shocking, I mean, if they announced yesterday they signed Micah Parsons to a long-term contract, yeah, I would have been absolutely shocked about that, but Osa, not too much.
Yeah, I thought he'd get 17, 18, so 20 might be a little bit more than I was originally thinking. But when you look at the contract, I think it's good for both sides. It just seems like Osa really wanted to stay in Dallas as long as they offered him something competitive. And then from the Cowboys standpoint, even with him signed, defensive tackle is still an area of need. And so they had to do something there. So that it also just speaks to it's difficult to find quality defensive tackle play in the NFL. And so you can't let that guy leave your building. It also leans into the Cowboys really, as we've said many a times, don't let go of the players that they really want to keep. And Osa is a player that they really wanted. And so, it makes a lot of sense. But I don't look at it right now like all of a sudden, well, defensive tackle's fixed. No, more work is needed there.
Well, yeah, and it's clearly needed, but is it a sign? Because, I thought, just the way they do things, I thought they'll use the tag like they have done in the past and prove it one more time or whatever, or let him walk, and it gives them another year to get their defensive line in order with a new defensive coordinator and all that stuff. Is it a sign that they're progressing or willing to move faster than they have in the past? And by that,
No,
I mean
he's
Micah.
not in the same class as to say that would then act like that they've always had this issue with every player with their contract, and that's not been the case. As Saad just mentioned with Diggs, there's been times in the past with Lyle Collins and Jalen Smith where not every one gets dragged out like Dax and CDs and Zeke's have, and how I believe this Micah Parsons will be, where it'll be dragged out to I believe July. So no, I just think that there are certain players that have more leverage than others, and it just, to me, it really seemed like Osa really, really wanted to remain in Dallas, even though he probably could have got a couple $1 million more per season if he goes to the open market. But I just, it compares more for me to the Diggs deal than it does to Dak, Zeke, or CD, or what's going to happen with Micah Parsons.
Do you think, Saad, that knowing how, I mean, Micah makes a lot of comments and he's on his podcast and, he said a lot of things, but do you think some of those would embolden the Joneses to wait longer with that feeling that maybe Micah would be destroyed by being away from the team and training camp and things like that?
I don't know, man. I mean, playing with Micah's, I guess, emotions or whatever in that way just seems like a very risky proposition. I feel like when you kind of have him on the record kind of saying that he would take less or, take below market value, whatever the case may be, I mean, you kind of have to hold him to that. And I'm sure his agent is not thrilled with that part of it. But I mean, I wouldn't go too far about that do, like, I don't know, play with that kind of stuff. I would definitely capitalize on that as quickly as I could. But again, that's where we're at with the Dak and CD and, previously Zeke contracts. I think we're in that scary territory where it could drag out.
Yeah. And I mean, I think especially with today, the Max Crosby deal getting done, that's a little over $35 million per season, which, resets the market in terms of highest paid non-quarterback. I think he gets north of that. I think he gets in the $40 million range. and he can say that he was going to take less. I just don't know that I really believe that. But the reason I keep pointing to July is because I can see Jerry and Steven being fine with him missing OTAs and minicamp, but I find it hard to believe that he's going to be fine, or they're going to be fine with a new coaching staff, a first-time head coach, not having their key player in Oxnard. This is going to be different than CD. They need him to be in Oxnard. With CD, it's like, yeah, hey, he already knows Dak. He already knows Mike McCarthy, the play caller. It's also a wide receiver. There's some things where, yeah, maybe it didn't contribute to him having, maybe a slower start or whatever. But with Micah, the whole defense is built around him. You had another new defensive coordinator. You have a new coaching staff, a first-time head coach. You can't risk not having Micah Parsons at all at training camp. And so I think that's ultimately going to be the point where if it was the last before like the first week of training camp, that's when things get really ugly. And when I get ugly, that's when like the team will like leak out. We've offered this, that'll happen. If he's trying to play the game of like, yeah, I'm willing to take a little bit less. And they're like, yeah, well, we've offered 38 or 39. Like they'll play the game too. Somebody will leak that out there from that side, and then it'll go back and forth. And so that's always a possibility. But I just think that, to the question you asked earlier, KT, if that deal gets done, I think that before like OTAs, minicamp, let's say in the next week, that speaks more to me about, maybe there's some changes going on here as opposed to the Osa deal.
Yeah, and I think like every Cowboys fan is sitting there going, okay, we want you to do some things, and then there's the restructurings that happen, and it doesn't help. It doesn't help when CeeDee Lamb does what he did, retweeting a fan asking, it does not help the understanding of how these contracts work.
What about the league? What about the NFL's official Twitter account putting that out there?
Yeah.
Who's operating that thing?
Interns, dude. It's all interns.
It's got to be. And this is the thing I go back to, because this is the one where and I also think about this because it doesn't lend it. So 2013, I went and looked back up the quote yesterday after I saw some of the stuff being put out there. So I will read it because I actually have it here right on my phone. This is from 2013. It's a Dallas Cowboys player, okay? This player said after restructuring their contract, they go, I restructured my contract basically just to free up some money to get some more players in. I'm a team player. I believe in getting as many guys as possible that can help us to our goal, and that's to win a championship. This is another step in the right direction. Not only myself, but other guys restructured as well. That's a good sign that guys are willing to restructure their contracts in order to get new guys in and get better guys in to help us hopefully get a Super Bowl. That's from Brandon Carr, 2013. And that was talked about back then at the time of like, yeah, that's not really what goes on, blah, 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 blah. So here we are in 2025, and that stuff still gets out and is pushed in that way of just like, yeah, these guys are just taking less money because they're trying to help the team. That's not what they're doing, they're not really. That's why they sign these deals and they can maneuver money like that. I mean, it happened a lot, mostly with Romo and Dak, the big money guys. But if they think that, you're a good player and you got 2 or 3 years left on your deal and you're going to continue to play at a high level, they're going to keep restructuring. But if you're a player that they're like, I don't know, man, like he's injured now, he's not producing like he used to, that's when they don't touch your contract because they don't want to push any more cap money into the future. But that's cap money. That's what it counts against your cap. Like it'll count less this year against the cap, but the players get all of that, their money that is, guaranteed to them. And with a restructure, they get even more of that money up front and not having to wait for it. So yeah, I don't know why that's still a thing in 2025, but to your point, yeah, it doesn't probably help when the player pushes it or maybe the player doesn't understand it. And then, but then the league to tweet it out too. I'm just kind of left scratching my head. I'm like, all right, I guess we're just pushing positive narratives today.
Yeah. And also like along those lines, people are like, oh, they're doing this to be able to sign Micah. It's like, no, like if you sign Micah, you clear more cap space. It's not, you don't need cap space to sign Micah to an extension. Signing Micah to
the part that I didn't care, the part that bothered me the most, Saad, I don't even care about CD tweeting that out or any guys, whatever, doing that. I can let that. I've seen it for so many years. It's when I saw fans trying to say, yeah, well, will we see Dak do that? Yeah, he's done it before. It's not anything like, calm down, tinfoil hat. Like, he's done this many a times. Like, this is nothing new, people. Like, yeah, he's not going to do that. The CD does it, and that's probably to give Dak even more money. It's like, no, that's not really how this thing works at all, but cool.
As a guy who does some freelance work with the Dallas Mavericks, I can tell you all about tinfoil hat guy. It's been kind of insane.
So you still think they'll be in Dallas next year, or did they make the move to Vegas? I have a hard time understanding like this top 5 media market thing. It's hard for me to wrap my. Do they take teams out of top 5 media markets? I haven't seen one, but let me know, and then let me know what the new team's going to be that they get in place. Are they going to be the Sonics, the Dallas Sonics? How does that work? Let me know. I want to know.
It is wild. I guess when something like that happens, I don't want to go too far off the Cowboys.
No, let's do it. But we haven't done one of these in a while.
It is wild to have these people here. Well, you know what? It tells you that these people don't know anything about the new owners. I guess it would tell you that much. A lot of people just they have their lives are busy. They go to work, they go home, and they want to experience joy when they watch their sports team. But like,
I try to follow it, KT, and I don't know that I know a lot about the new owners. But go on.
Well, what I've known from the beginning, because
works hard.
Well, you read articles.
Shaq was one of the hardest work. I don't know much about it. Man, sorry, go on.
Well, I'm just saying, you read articles and it's like, okay, yes, they've been doing. First of all, they have owned Las Vegas for a long time. They've been working in the Middle East in Dubai for a long time. Okay, they are expanding their empire. They're not trying to take a team back to Las Vegas. They already have that. That would be boring to them. Like, it's very insane, but groupthink is going to take off. And when it's a trade that's that big of a head scratcher, it does kind of spark the fire. Well, what if? Because someone make it make sense. And the truth is, there is no crazy answer that you want that's going to make you feel happy. The guy wanted Anthony Davis, and the guy was tired of Luka. So there. I mean, it's not that hard. He was empowered to make that move because of the good trades he had made in the short time that the owners had the team,
With all the things that have unfolded since that trade, just to bring it back to the Cowboys, I don't know how they could, unless they just got just this boatload of picks that they're like, we can't turn this down. This just does not seem like, of all times, to try and make a move like trading like a Micah Parsons. This just does not seem like a time when that would be done. I mean, you're literally seeing like the negative side of, hey, this could be a good gamble for you down the line, but it also could just blow up in your face where you're just sitting there like, yeah, we really could have used that premium pass rusher instead of these, 2 firsts that turn into just 2 okay players and a third that's like a nickel corner. And you're like, man, maybe it was probably better we just kept Micah here. Well, Micah's over in Los Angeles helping them get back to a Super Bowl,
And never
Rams or Chargers, take your pick.
Never once felt that realistic that they would be wanting to move on. I mean, this is the Cowboys' standard way of doing business. Draft their own, develop their own, sign their own. And I think that's a great plan. I think it's a great plan. It's not a great plan when you haven't made it to a conference championship game in 30 years. It's results driven.
Yeah. And it's also not. It's also a very fragile plan. Like when you choose to totally sit out free agency, and then don't hit on your last 2 drafts, like total drafts, 2024 and 2023, they haven't really hit on much. That's the problem. That's when you start talking about the Philadelphia Eagles and teams like that. They just re-signed Zach Bond and Saquon Barkley. Those are 2 guys they got from outside the building. But they drafted Jalen Hurts and gave him a big you have to do everything. You have to pick a little everywhere. You can't just have one thing, because if you only have one thing, the second that hits the shitter, you're screwed. And so I think that's where the Cowboys kind of find themselves right now.
Yeah, and look, let's kind of spell this out for everyone. So we do the restructuring though. We create the cap space, a lot of cap space, and it is going to the grocery store next week. That is what's happening. I mean, free agency is here just because we don't play in it. Like, it's a very good wide receiver class, veteran wide receiver class. It's not, you're not bringing in a lot of youths here, but I wonder if hearing the criticism seeing what the Eagles did, is there more of a push than there's ever been, or do you think it's business as usual and we're just going to hang out and we're going to try to find a veteran here and just kind of be super cheap? I mean, I could see a little influence changing in a couple things that does clear up what you're doing in the draft too. But I don't know. Shouldn't prove it, I guess. Show me first.
Yeah, that's where I'm at on this because the sample size is too large. You know, I mean, me referencing earlier Brandon Carr, I mean, that's the last time, that's, that's 2013, 2012 times,
Yeah.
We're over a decade removed from that. So it'd be one thing if like it was an up and down thing where it's like, well, 3 years ago they made these big moves or whatever like that. And then 5 years ago they went on. Like they haven't done it really at all. The most notable one is probably either 2 years ago making the trades for Gilmore and Cooks, or you go back to McCarthy's first year in 2020 when they did some of those moves like Don Terry Poe and HaHa Clinton Dix and a few others where, it was a little bit more than normal, but obviously that they were trying to adapt to Mike Nolan's defense and it was not a successful season. Those guys, Gerald McCoy was in there as well, got hurt before the season even started. He got hurt in training camp. So they tried to do a little bit different than what they had and it really didn't pay any dividends. So I still don't think they're a player, even with the two restructures for maybe the first few days of free agency, maybe a little bit after that. But for Jerry to act like today that they can supplement or fill all of their voids with the draft, and he doesn't see that free agency as a spot that they have to fill in, I just find that hard to believe. And one of the reasons is before we're doing the show, I wrote this down. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7 spots that they need to fill. So I just started off with running back because even if they re-sign Rico Dowdle, you still need somebody else. So that right there screams draft. They love the depth in this draft. So there's that. Wide receiver 2, which could be via trade, like they got Cooks, Cooper Kupp. That would make a lot of sense to me. Low budget deal. Metcalf doesn't make much sense to me. Just like Myles Garrett doesn't make sense to me because you got to trade and then you got to pay the guy. I don't see those being fits. The guys will go after in free agency and be like 1-2 year deals, most likely 1 year deals. Then I got linebacker, especially with the Overshown injury, though I need to add in here and tell you, moving very well today. One of the surprises of today's press conference. No crutches, no knee cart, none of that. Like I was like, is that DeMarvion Overshown? Anyway, and that's not to say he's gonna be back right away. They need help at linebacker. Then you need corner because you don't know when Trayvon Diggs is going to be back. You still got to re-sign Jordan Lewis. You probably need another corner. That could be a veteran play for somebody that maybe after the first 3 or 4 days, a 1 year deal type thing like that. Then you need an offensive lineman. You need someone to replace the loss of Zack Martin. And Brock Hoffman's fine, but you need more help there on the offensive line. And I think you need another tackle and another edge rusher because I don't think DeMarcus Lawrence is coming back. And Mozzie hasn't really excelled up to this point. So that's 7 spots. You're not filling all those in draft. You'd be thrilled if you could fill 3 of those in the draft. So I do think that they'll be a little bit more active than they were last year, but I don't think they'll be any big player on any big name guys.
Yeah, I think with both Jerry and Steven over the last 2 years, or if you're looking at over the last 14 months, it's just you have to. I mean, as reporters, we have to talk to them when they speak. That's literally our job. But you also, as someone consuming their words, like you have to take it all with a grain of salt. Like, Jerry said all in, then there was nothing to show they were all in. Jerry said they're not going to do much, but they created $57 million in cap space in the last 2 days. Like, I think you have to really follow the actions and then supplement it with what they're saying as well, because that's also important for context. But you can't just start hitching all your emotions to whatever comes out of their mouth, because that's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, and it's also like this is always a weird time of year because we know what the Cowboys do. It's frustrating to us too. Or like if you want the team, Cowboy fans, you're sitting there going, well, free agency was is suck when the Eagles go and do a bunch of things, or the Commanders are making a trade for Debo, which was an interesting situation right there. And Washington will do great with the 12 games that Debo plays for him next year. But I always feel like, I always wonder about you guys here, because anyone that gets released or anybody that becomes free will come up in conversation, and you guys are going to get annihilated on Twitter about it. Do you guys enjoy that or not? When I was doing the draft hardcore back in the day, I always loved when people would send me their mock drafts. That's a lot of mock drafts to go through. It's a lot. Do you guys, like Joey Bosa, just released by the Chargers, okay? I'm sure that's been tweeted to you multiple times by now. What do we, do you guys enjoy that or not?
It doesn't bother me because the team doesn't do enough for it to be interesting. Yeah. So it's not like, just name any of the moves that they've done. Brandon Cooks trade, Stephon Gilmore's trading for Amari Cooper.
Those were wild. That was big stuff.
Yeah, none of those are what you just said about Joey Bosa right now. None of those are those where, oh, hey, everybody knows this person's available. That's the only reason why I'm hesitant on even on Kupp, even though some of it makes sense to me where the fit is. They clearly need another playmaking wide receiver opposite of CD, but because he's like an obvious name that's out there, that's why I don't think that will happen. Like they generally, I can't even really think of anybody that they've had that it's really been the obvious notable name outside the building that they go and get. Like it's Brandon Carr might be the last one, you know? I mean, unless you want to throw David Irving and Rolando McClain and Greg Hardy in there, Jeremy Mincy. I mean, like there just isn't really like the big names that they go after that when everyone's talking about like, oh, could they be in on Christian McCaffrey? Oh, could they be in on Joey Bosa? Could they be in on Khalil Mack? Could they be in on Todd Gurley back? I mean, like almost all of them never happen.
Yeah, and it doesn't bother me either because I do think that it's a good opportunity just to kind of talk about the concept of whichever player it is. Like I think it doesn't have to be just the player, but if you bring up like Cooper Kupp, for example, like all of a sudden you don't have to discuss just Cooper Kupp. You can talk about the need. You can talk about the need at wide receiver 2 or whatever the case may be. So that's why it doesn't bother me either.
I do think I want to go to something in a minute and involving the draft a little bit, but I do think on like a wide receiver is a position we're going to talk about, and I think it would benefit them to do something there. And it doesn't have to be one of the top flight names, and Devontae Adams, like you mentioned, DK Metcalf, and
if there isn't one of those, KT, let me just stop you right now.
Yeah,
12, pick 12. It's really in play.
Yeah,
wide receiver is very in play. We get to end of April, and they haven't done anything at wide receiver. As early as 12, wide receiver is in play.
I'm cool with that, but I feel like that. It's
an offensive head coach. We got to identify. We got to. As much as he's the head coach of the entire team, you think an offensive head coach that thinks they need more playmakers is going to be like, nah, we'll just kind of figure this out. Even though I will say the last head coach was fine with that running back room last year that left me scratching my head. But I find it very hard to believe that it's just kind of one of those deals too when you think about like. Look at like the first draft picks of like a lot of the coaches, like Jason Garrett's first draft pick, Tyron Smith. What's it called? Mike McCarthy's first draft pick was, I believe, CeeDee Lamb. Mm-hmm. Like these guys are going to take care of their side of the ball. I do not see them going in without having the wide receiver position addressed. And if it ain't in the first round, it might be in the second then.
Yeah, and your note in your article the other day, it was like, it was like a declarative statement, but it was just like, it feels like they'll look somewhere other than running back in round 1, and maybe, look at running back a little bit later. In this draft, I love it, and I think draft value matters, and Lord knows we'll talk about all this when we get closer to the draft. But because we are in post-combine week, the thing that scares me about wide receiver is I do think the Cowboys are in a position where I don't want them to get things backwards. They do need weapons. They're going to need to add a wide receiver or 2. Like, I think we all understand that. But I want them to have their offensive line set. And I'm not saying take one at 12, but offensive line and defensive line is really what I think they need to focus on first. And also, someone's got to play cornerback on this team too. And I almost think that's higher up there for me at 12 from a draft positional value type thing where wide receiver can go a little deeper Maybe not this year as deep as we've seen in the past, but running back can go a little deeper. And I feel like there's your chance to kind of pounce. Oh, yeah, best wide receiver free agent class ever. Get help that way and not have yourself in a bind. But we know how they operate.
You don't know how teams have their board stacked. And if you're at 12 and your number one wide receiver in this draft class is there, I can see where if you just kind of like all the other players and you're like, well, damn, that's our best receiver. We love this guy. Like, I can just see how that would be the pick, And in this draft, I don't see anybody that's worth being a top 5 pick at wide receiver. So the top receiver, first receiver, might not even go till 12. And so if you have your pick of whoever you think that guy is, then I think that could be in play. I mean, I do think Genty still is in play. Don't get me wrong, but I just didn't feel as strongly about it leaving the combine as I did going to the combine.
Yeah, and real quick on the wide receiver thing, just to, like, I'm not saying if they do pick one at 12 will be like CeeDee Lamb, but remember going into that draft, they had a need on the defensive line. Chason was there when they were picking. And I think, especially with your first round pick, like, you really have to take the best player available, whether you have I think at that point they had Amari Cooper, maybe, right? Yeah, I think they had Amari Cooper at that point. And Michael Gallup and whatever. They didn't have a glaring need at wide receiver, even like they do right now at wide receiver 2. I remember thinking Chason would have been the guy if he was there, but you pick CeeDee Lamb and you kind of rest his history with that.
Yeah, and we could talk, when we get a little closer, more specifically. Like a part of what I'm kind of lining up to is like, okay, I want to be set. Like the way they had an order of operations. And granted, this was a 5-year thing. Tyron, Travis, Zach. Then you take your running back when you're way up there. Those are all scenario driven. All right, I understand that. Talking specifically, though, about the wide receivers that might be there at 12, if it's McMillan from Arizona, McMillan is an awesome player. He terrifies me because he doesn't get away. Like, he's not a separation guy. And that's never his thing. Watch him in tons of Big 12 football for Arizona. Like, that's not his deal. He's a skyscraper, and that's how he plays, and he's great after the catch and all that stuff. And that might pair well with CeeDee Lamb, but I need guys who can get open, and that's what I want. It's the number one thing I wanted in this offense moving forward. It's the number one thing that worries me a little bit about Schottenheimer staying here and not getting someone brand new is I want guys running open as much as possible. And I don't know if that's the guy. You start naming off some other wide receivers, though, you can, okay, well, that's more of your separator type of guy and things like that. Whereas defensive, maybe Matthew Golden's the guy, and I know everyone loves him, and I like him a lot. I don't know if I like him at 12. And I kind of just want to go, you know what? Here's what we got on this insert second or third offensive guard in the draft, And
well, maybe this is the draft where, a lot of people have talked about early on that after the top couple guys, probably what you can get at 8 might be the same what you get at 28. Maybe this is a draft where you move back to like 18 or 19, 20. You take Golden there or something, and you get, an additional premium pick. If you got all these holes to fill, that would make some sense to add another decent, day 2 pick or whatever.
Imagine, though, doing very little in free agency, like we assume, and let's just say not taking offensive linemen in the first 3 rounds of the draft. How do you feel about the offensive line?
I would think that you need to add a free agent. What did the Eagles do last year? Was it Becton? Mekhi Becton? Was a 1-year deal or something?
It's been interesting to see, and granted, these are not game changing type guys, but watching the Bears, Ben Johnson now in charge in Chicago, and they're like, you know what, we're gonna fix the offensive line first, and then the rest, we'll start to.
Well, here's the difference between I think the Bears and especially with their new coaching staff and the Cowboys is that the Cowboys feel better about Terrence Steele and Tyler Guyton than people do on the outside.
Yeah.
That's the biggest difference. So people on the outside think that, well, offensive tackle should be in play at 12 because if you're going to take an offensive lineman that high, that would be the position. But I don't get the sense that they're ready to move on from either of them. And Tyler Smith's not going anywhere. It certainly seems like Cooper Beebe's staying at center. So you're really looking for another potential guard, basically to replace Zack Martin. And so I think guard would be in place at 12, or if you were to move back to, like I said, 17, 18, 19. I don't know that I really would want to go back too much further than that.
Yeah.
And then maybe that's what it is. And then you put that guard next to in between, BB and Steele. And if it's a player that comes in right away and, is pretty effective, I think that helps the entire offensive line. And then all of a sudden you have some decent depth with Bass and Hoffman behind them that can play the guard spots in center. And then you got to try and develop a swing tackle somewhere, and if that happens, then it's not the greatest. It's not the Zack Martin, Travis Frederick, Tyron Smith offensive line with Ron Leary and Lyle Collins, but it's not the Chicago Bears of last year. That's for sure.
Sure.
Yeah. And I also think that while we, especially after last year's all-in comments and just it being the Dallas Cowboys, the drought and all that stuff, like I think we look at it, how are you going to build a Super Bowl champion this year? And I'm not sure that's really a realistic expectation for the Cowboys going into this year, no matter what they do in free agency and the draft. Not saying they're going to be a bottom feeder team. They're going to go 7-10, but I think they're a playoff, like their ceiling right now to me is a playoff team. And so from there, anything can happen. But I think the reason why I say that is because that's why I think you can be like, well, because I agree with John. They do believe in Terrence Steele and Tyler Guyton, but you can give both of those players another year in this. Well, we feel good about this year, but we're not crazy about it before you get out of Terrence Steele's contract and think about swinging Tyler Guyton over to the right side and making those kind of moves. That's more of we need to build a Super Bowl champion this year type of thing. I just don't see the Cowboys being in that kind of mode right now.
Yeah, and they would have to do a lot in the next week or two, and then in the draft for me to think any differently than what you said, Saad. Like right now, I would say I would expect them to be a 7-9 win team, 7-2-9, 7-8-9 wins, somewhere in there. And that there's a possibility that if they just had incredible health, kind of like the Eagles, then maybe they get in the playoffs and they get hot at the right time, whatever. Maybe they end up having a 2014 season or 2016 where you really didn't expect it going in. But as I sit here right now and the way I think they will attack free agency in the draft, yeah, I think they're a 7-9 win team. And then they'll look to build on that next offseason in year two with Schottenheimer. But yeah, I don't put them on the same level as the Eagles and Lions and even the Niners if the Niners are healthy.
Yeah.
And maybe even Washington, depending on the moves that Washington makes.
It's interesting to see what, the 49ers look like too and what they end up, how are they going to handle Brock Purdy is going to be kind of interesting to see with that contract and things like that. But I think one thing I'm going to fight you guys a little bit on here is I do agree right now they look like a 7-9 win team, but the time should be now. When we've talked for years about how the AFC is just loaded with all these quarterbacks who are going to end up cutting each other's head off in the playoffs. Here it's okay, so your best quarterback in the conference, and I know we've had this conversation a million times, and it's are we going to say that it's Jalen Hurts again? Are we going to say it's Jared Goff? Are we going to say it's Stafford? Are we going to end up there again? It should be now. It should be now. And
wait, you're saying it should be now because you're going to talk about players on the field? I think it should be now because your owner's 82 years old and he hasn't won a Super Bowl or been close to one in 29 years. I think maybe that motivate? No. Okay.
Well, and if the pass rusher gets signed, then you have three guys paid at the top of their position too. It should be now.
I just think, the Cowboys in 2023 really viewed that as their year. That was truly the all-in year. And I feel like they kind of pick their spots when they have a year like that. And the way the feeling that I get around the team is Dak has 4 more years on his contract. They're going to have a 2023 type year in those 4 years. I just don't think 2025 is that one.
I agree. I agree with you. And it's going to take a lot to change the minds on that too, right?
I'll tell you what, watching them, San Francisco and Detroit last year, it's hard to even not even factor in a little bit of luck too. Because when you see some of the injuries that some of these teams had, and then you see how healthy Philadelphia stayed, and you're just it sucks to just say oh, it might come down to this, but that is sports, man. Do you get hot at the right time? Do you have all your guys out there? I look at 2023 and man, You just tell me that you got DeMarvion Overshown all season with the rest of that crew. Like, who knows what would have happened on that team, you know?
And
but also you talk about being healthy in 2023. All you lost was Overshown and Van Der Esch. I mean, you had everybody else that year, and that's why, after that.
Yeah, right. But I just say Overshown because that could have been the thing that put you finally a deep playoff run, as opposed to I loved what they built in 2023, and I thought they had an excellent roster. But it still would not have surprised me if they go to the second round and lose to the Niners for whatever the third straight year. Whereas if Overshown is this monster that he has shown signs that he could potentially be, you give him that full rookie season to kind of get through some growing pains, and he's hitting his stride going into the playoffs. Hey, maybe that's the thing that pushes you past the Niners. Maybe that's that thing that finally gets you into the NFC or past the NFC Championship game and possibly into a Super Bowl. Take some pressure off of Dak and the offense having to be perfect to win one of these games. That hey, maybe the defense makes a few more plays and things like that. And you just look at some of these salaries now. 2023, Osa was there, played the whole season. Micah Parsons, Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler. DeMarcus Lawrence. That's if you look at what that group is making right now. That was a. People can say whatever they want. That was a talented defensive line that had some pretty good depth too going into the playoffs. So you had Overshown in there making plays and stuff, and who knows what happens.
But no, I agree. I think what I'm saying is like there's a chance, and we don't know this, but there's a chance this conference is run by Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams. And you still get, Goff being good and all that, and who knows what'll happen with Jordan Love. And it's like, man, we waste all this time, and like Dak was better. Dude, you can't messing around as a 7-9 win team. That feels like something the Seahawks would do with Geno Smith. And I don't think Dak is that, and I don't think they should be messing around. They should be a double-digit winning team every year.
I think he's closer to being Russell Wilson in Russell Wilson's prime, and that's what people will compare the years that Russell Wilson had with Schottenheimer. I think that's a decent comp. What could potentially happen there? How come you didn't say Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, no.
Defending Super Bowl MVP. No, yeah. You didn't mention him. Was that some type of a slip or
no?
Did you forget about him?
No, we can.
He just won MVP of the Super Bowl. KT.
Yeah. It's just weird they took the ball out of his hand for half the year. It's very strange. We'll see what happens this year. But my point stands. There ain't that many great quarterbacks in the NFC right now. And, there's some guys who could figure it out. Like, who knows what, Baker gets a little better. Or what if Bryce Young ends up being, there's a lot of stuff that's not there yet. It's like go time should be now for all of these reasons. And we all know this. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Question, Sod.
Hey, quick little KT John side talk here. Let me just tell you. I was pretty happy to see Stafford stay with the Rams and not go to Minnesota. I was really nervous about that.
I was
really nervous.
I was hoping he would just go to the Raiders just to,
Oh yeah, well AFC is fine too.
Cap off the media fight.
Vikings with him. Darnold can do that.
Also, if he got with the Giants, would Dak be the fourth best quarterback in the division?
Okay, well, hold on. That's where I was going to go. I was going to go Giants, so I'm glad you asked. Okay. Sod, for pure entertainment.
Why would he go there? Sorry, go on.
For pure entertainment purposes only, who do you want to be the quarterback of the New York Giants, and is it Aaron Rodgers?
No, it's Shedeur. For whatever purposes, I want to see Shedeur in the division, and I would like to see Shedeur play with the Giants. Just with that spotlight, Dion. You're going to get a lot of side Dion with that, especially in the New York spotlight. So, yeah, for all those reasons, I want to see Shedeur in New York.
I think for a Cowboys fan, I think Cam Ward is the one that would make you the most nervous out of that. I think Rodgers might have another season or two left, and
he's got to finish the Favre thing.
Yeah, I think Cam Ward's going to be a better player than Shedeur Sanders, and so I think if you're a Cowboys fan, you do want Shedeur to be the pick there, or this is the Giants now. The draft starts coming around, and they're that team that starts looking for the Daniel Jones, Mitch Trubisky, and all of a sudden they got a Louisville quarterback. They're like, no, we really liked our interviews, stuff like that. You can't rule that out. You cannot rule that out.
Tyler Shuck.
This stuff happens all the time where you're just like, it starts getting close to the draft, and you're just like, Really? That's going to be the guy? Okay.
Former Texas Tech collarbone breaker, Tyler Shuck. If I'm the Giants, I'm just thinking, you know what? Let's be real honest about this. But there you have it. They can't because of the regime. But a new regime would have made so much sense for the Giants because it's Arch time, and Arch will follow Eli, and it's great PR, and we just got to get through one more bad year. And you know what? Maybe the owner comes in and tries to neuter Daboll, and and that happens anyways. But that's a interesting thing. Not that we even know Arch is good or not. He hasn't played enough. We don't know. No,
but I can see obviously the Giants or other teams would have people in their scouting department that would have a good idea on things like that, where they would be like, no, this is going to be it or whatever like that. This guy's absolutely got it. And I'm sure if they were sitting down with John Mara and they convinced him on that, your plan makes a lot of sense.
Rodgers finishing out the Brett Favre trajectory, the Vikings thing is I mean, dude, I've been wanting this the whole time.
My favorite is someone posted, I don't remember if it was on Instagram or Twitter or whatever I saw earlier today, was just joking about that video when Rodgers was on the Pat McAfee show and they did all that like slow build up to Devontae Adams coming behind him as like they were destined for the Super Bowl. And like a few months later, they're both cut by the team. Like they built that up like it was like, oh, you don't want to pair us two together. It was like, nah, I think we're fine. Thank you.
I would take. I don't know how much Devontae Adams is going to cost.
Yeah, I'm interested.
I'm interested there. I think that actually plays off pretty well with.
He's 32. 32. That's not bad.
$32 million.
32 years old.
32 years old. I was about to say. I don't think we're going to do that.
No.
1 at 6.
Yeah, I can tell you. I can tell you the old Cowboys ain't going to be ponying up anything more than 15. I don't even know if they would do that.
Who's the name?
Hey, John.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Todd.
Or just real quick, just because we were talking about them going after a name that was out there and stuff, they didn't end up getting this guy, but it just because we're talking about wide receivers, that whole Odell Beckham, whatever that was for like 3 weeks, that was just weird when he was at like the Mavericks game and this and that. It was before I was like full time on the beat, so I remember just tracking your coverage on that. That was a wild time. I'm
telling you, that is when I'm at my best. I love that stuff. I'm not even joking with you. I love sitting around for that 6 to 9 hours, whatever, waiting on Jerry with other people, just talking about life, talking about the beat, making fun of each other, just having that. And again, it's waiting on Jerry because you just feel like if you wait him out, you'll get something, and that you got to just put in that work or whatever. I don't know. I love that stuff way more than I love the, I think you'd attest this side. Like some people love the art of writing, the, art form of that. That's several chapters down for me as opposed to the,
you're TMZ guy.
Yeah, don't go there because I absolutely hate that.
Well, I know you do, but it's
there.
The Odell Beckham thing was very.
I think John's a reporter over a writer. That's all.
Definitely not. Definitely not. KT, I have to disagree with you on that completely. Nobody went by anybody's home. Nobody went by anywhere inappropriate. And Odell Beckham and everybody involved in that knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
And so they put themselves in position so they could play it up. So they could get pictures and exchange jerseys with Devin Booker. So they could bring Mark Cuban over and do stuff like that. There was no sneaking into places we weren't supposed to be. Just like at that hotel, that lobby, if you're ever in there, it's all reporters that are just sitting there waiting, other coaches waiting to talk to other coaches, stuff like that. There's no sneaking up to, hey, I heard Jerry was in 1327. That's the type of stuff where I'm like, yeah, you can do that stuff and maybe you get some. But I'm talking about I was telling somebody this the other day, the TMZ dude walking up to Aaron Rodgers, I have something, I can't even get past the first 30 seconds. I'm like, I got to turn it off.
That's ridiculous.
So awkward to me and embarrassing. I can't believe that people would do that. And sometimes when you're at LAX, I know, Saad, you've probably seen it, that there'll be some paparazzi around there. I could never do that just at an airport like that. So let me be clear on the TMZ thing. I would never. We're not going there.
I had a nerve there.
Parameters of reporting. I love it.
Of these, is there anything they could do free agency wise? Throw out a name if you'd like that you'd be like, okay. And it's not, I'm not saying it doesn't to be extreme, but it's like there's some progress, and or even if it's just like a position, something like that. I mean, it's hard to ignore the wide receiver class because you sit there and you look at all these people and you're like, okay, these are guys who can help. And because of age and injury history on these guys, not many of these guys are going to cost more than $10 million. When we just extended the salary cap, it does feel like it's a pretty good area to go shop in right now. It's the clearance rack, right? Honestly. But
yeah, that would be in there. A defensive tackle, obviously not, a top one or two, but just somebody else where you're like, oh, dang, okay. Like, honestly, like even like I said, 2020, when they made those moves to get McCoy and Dontari Poe, obviously they didn't work out, but when they made the moves, you're like, damn, okay. Like you're doing some. But I don't really have a free agent like that fits. So I'm just going to give you, I'm not going to answer your question directly. I'm just going to give you my own personal. When Jerry didn't talk to us, I was thinking of all the possibilities. The one for me would be a trade up to get in the top 2 or 3 to get Travis Hunter. And yeah, you might be giving up next year's one, but don't you see a world where Jerry Jones talks about how, well, we were fine with it because we're actually getting 2 players. We're getting someone that can play corner and wide receiver. And the reason I only care about this is because what it would do for those training camp videos. Like, a couple plays he's lining up next to CD, a couple plays he's lining up against CD. That's my best scenario. Like that to me is amazing. Like that to me is 1990s Dallas Cowboys. And I fully expect that a lot of people listening to this are going to hate that idea. But that's the one for me where I'm like, man, that would be pretty wild.
That would be absolutely wild and really entertaining, and also would put Brian Schottenheimer kind of on the hot seat before he even coaches a game because, I know Dion said he'd only coach his son, but he treats Travis Hunter kind of like his son, and that that would be kind of crazy as well. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like getting another defensive tackle for me. Whether look, we're talking like Milton Williams is like way up there, but and Javon Hargrave, but just even anybody in that general, like right below that general realm, if you can get another defensive tackle, you just think what that does for your entire defense. You can develop some rotational pass rushers. You'll have linebackers once Overshown is back and Maris Leofau looks really good, and maybe you send. I just think the way that run defense has been getting just absolutely blasted, even when Dan Quinn was here, I think the another defensive tackle would really go a long way.
Jonathan Hankins. Just throwing a name out there for you. You want to sign
Jay Ratliff up to?
Jay Ratliff is 10 years older than Jonathan Hankins. I know Hankins is no spring chicken at 33, but they only want to spend $1 million on a player.
Antoine Woods.
Okay. I'll take Hankins over Woods, but I like what you're doing there.
Nick Hayden.
The Golden Cock. Yes. Those are the days. We're back. Eberflus is back. We're back to the emphasis on that 3 tech. Is Malik Collins still available? What's his deal?
We are back.
We're back, baby. We are back.
You know who else was in that mix? Henry Melton.
Henry Melton for a short time.
Wow, Henry Melton.
We had an incident, I believe, in Grapevine, right? Am I right on that?
I think so.
Am I getting my guys right? Isn't it weird that that's the first thing? Former Bears great, too, so it's easier to dogpile for me. As a guy who thinks the Bears are silly. All right, let's rope Kent in here. Kent of the Mad About Movies podcast and much more. Kent, there were 10 movies nominated for Best Picture. Did you agree with the winner, Anora?
I was a little surprised, honestly.
What did you think should have won?
I thought The Brutalist would win. Knowing like kind of the movies the Academy goes for. So yeah, it was a little surprising. But I'm very happy that Anora won because it was my favorite movie last year.
Oh, it was. Let me tell you a quick Anora story. As I was watching it on the night of February 1st, and about 10 minutes left,
is that when the trade
my phone starts going off. So I think I have a bit of a I think I had a bit of
the end. You gotta watch the end. The end's the best part.
Oh, I watched it. It was just it was a disconjointed time in the house. It was a strange time.
You mean you turned it off with 10 minutes left. I was like, that's a mistake with that movie.
No, we got through it, but my mind was elsewhere. Just put it that way. And
yeah,
I like The Brutalist. The Brutalist is. I just split it into 2 nights, but I think I would have done that. You know what? I really like Conclave too.
Yeah,
and I like the Bob Dylan movie.
Overall, it was a pretty weak year for bigger name movies, which is why I think Anora won essentially in a landslide because it was the best of the rest, basically.
Yeah.
So you guys both saw The Brutalist?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did.
So if I see this, am I going to just be blown away with this Brody performance?
Dude,
or is it going to be Brody and the Pianist, where it's great, but it's not Chalamet? I was impressed with Chalamet. I've seen that movie.
I thought Chalamet should have won Best Actor.
Yeah.
Guy Pearce that's your actor. And that for The Brutalist, that's the guy who makes me really love that movie. Guy Pearce's performance was incredible. Man, that movie is something, though. You got to be in the right. Again, I had to cut it into 2 nights. I was like, I'm not doing this all at once. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying I don't think I'd recommend it to anyone, really. It's great. But,
don't watch it with your parents.
Yeah, well, don't watch Anora with your parents either, Kent.
Well,
not a lot of clothes on in that movie, guys.
I didn't.
I always find it interesting that there are movies that you can really like, but never want to watch them again.
Yep. The Bob Dylan movie too.
Oh, see, I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to watch that again. The one that I was thinking of is
Schindler's List.
No, I'm a huge. I really didn't like that movie, but I also would never watch it again. But I'm a huge Daniel Day-Lewis fan, and Lincoln just drags for me. Like I'm just like I can't. I'm good. And love almost everything Leonardo DiCaprio does. One time was enough on The Revenant for me. I don't need to see him wrestling a bear again, doing all that. I don't need to see some of the stuff like the suffering in the snow. I'm good. I don't need to watch that again.
I agree. A friend of mine is in that movie.
And put it on repeat.
Yeah.
Love it.
The great Arthur Red Cloud. Shout out to him, old friend. He was in the movie. And I would.
Oh, is that right?
And I would say it to his face. I don't need to see it again. And he'd be like, "Cool, man.
I love The Revenant."
That's why I'm saying it because I really liked it.
I liked it.
Watching it once. Strangely, though, I do like watching Oppenheimer, and I've probably watched it 6 or 7 times.
See, I'm the opposite. I only have watched Oppenheimer the one time I saw it in the theater.
I think
that's why I said it because I think that's a movie that it does surprise me that I want to watch it again. But I just really like the acting in there.
For a weekend check, Mickey 17 do anything for you, Kent? That's the new one coming out with Robert Pattinson. It looks very interesting.
Yeah.
It's the guy who made Parasite, which I think is the best movie of the last 10 years.
I love Parasite. I think that was my favorite movie that year.
Would you watch that again?
100%.
Oh, yeah.
I have. That's
Parasite
that's
rules.
masterpiece level. I've liked all of Bong Joon-ho's movies. Not sure where I fall on the Pattinson accent aspect of it. So going in a little nervous, but excited to check it out because hasn't disappointed me yet. So
okay. Just got a notification on my phone that the Mavs lost by 30, so that's good for a guy who has to make a Mavs comedy show once a week. That's good. It's been tough.
You can just play their highlights.
Well, we were doing that, and I'm not sure how we're going to attack that now. Luckily, I'm not in charge of the show. Our good friend, the machine, is. Go watch Roundball Talk on YouTube. Brand new segment this week, the NBA Air Fryer. Touching tribute to Moses Brown. There's your Mav stuff. Guys, thank you for everything. It's been a while, and I know everyone will be checking in after free agency, right? And if there's any big emergency, crazy stuff happens, wild trade will pop in. But I would imagine we get going on Monday the 10th when the illegal tampering period starts. No, the legal tampering period.
Yeah. The legals are illegal has already been going on.
Makes no sense. At the Starbucks in Indy, right? If you can avoid the blood.
The interesting one for the Cowboys is that, and I can't remember another year being like this, but like several of their free agents are all the same agent. And so, people always talk about, like, oh, wait, what agents were going on the bus? Like, well, David Cantor went on the bus. And so he represents Chauncey Golston, Israel Mukwamu, Rico Dowdle, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Jordan Lewis. So
let's knock it all out.
There's a lot of people being represented by one person. So, to say that all of those guys, they're communicating with the Cowboys, yes, that's absolutely happening.
Okay, I'll say the name. Will they be here? 1, 2, yes or no? 1, 2, 3. Okay, Jordan Lewis.
Yes.
Yes.
Rico Dowdle.
Yep.
Yes.
DeMarcus Lawrence.
No.
Chauncey Golston.
No. What I was hearing out in Indy,
got one.
His
finally.
price is kind of getting up there.
Oh, really? Yeah. Hey,
I don't know, how much would you pay for him? Would you pay $7-8 million a year?
No.
Yeah, I don't think I would either. I don't know. Actually, I say that, and I don't know what the other options are, and I don't know what Matt Eberflus thinks of him. So if there's other options out there, but
how many years? That's the whole thing with him is he did flash a ton in the second half of last season. So
yeah,
but nah,
maybe.
Yeah, what does the new coaching staff think? Yeah, there you go. We can lean on that. Back to Kent for one final question here.
Wanted to ask you guys, what would your reaction be if Howie Roseman makes a move from Myles Garrett? And, seems like that might be a possibility. Does that put them in like dynasty mode in your eyes? Like that defense is going to be pretty scary if that happens.
You got to win more than one to be in dynasty mode to begin with, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, it would make them easily NFC favorites. Yeah, for sure.
Well, that puts them in prime position to go repeat. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, if that happens, I don't know how you would put anybody above them in the NFC.
It's the Lions next, right?
Yeah, I mean, if the Eagles don't get Myles Garrett and they just kind of stay with the same team, like I just think the Lions are a better team. Like they just weren't healthy.
Yeah.
But you bring back Hutchinson, McNeil, they'll probably make a move for another corner. I just think they're a better team. They'll probably the other corner. They lost Carlton Davis. I wouldn't be surprised if they make a move for Darius Slay. But if the Eagles get Myles Garrett, then they're clearly the NFC team to beat.
And I think that's where San Francisco gets.
And they got Nick Sirianni. Sorry.
San Francisco gets back into the fold if they can get all healthy and all that, but you kind of wonder. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Sure.
The two favorites are, new coordinators and things like that. And maybe this is a good case study in how much the coordinators matter and all that. Like how much do we as a just football fiends, do we put too much weight on who's doing all that sometimes? And I think
and even though I do think I would be more, I think that the Vikings roster would scare me more with Matthew Stafford. I mean, you saw this year, you really can't count out that Rams team. I mean, Sean McVay to me is still one of the best, and the way that organization is run, it would not surprise me if they're right back in the mix of being one of the better teams. I mean, to me, that Niners, Eagles, Rams, like those are like the three kind of best run teams, I think, in the NFC right now.
It's hard.
And Lions, you probably throw Lions in there too.
It's hard for me to get behind the idea that a J.J. McCarthy-led Vikings team should be taken seriously, but I don't know. Assuming they go that route, I could see Sam Darnold ending up back there too on a shorty. But
I mean, they're still talented, so I mean, you got to throw them in the mix. I just don't have them on that same level as some of those. I mean, Green Bay is going to be in there as well.
Saad as a Brady, historian. Did it feel weird that the Raiders would go into a season where he's got a little more sway, like publicly, he's got a little more sway with the Raiders? Did it feel weird that they may go into this thing without doing anything at quarterback? I mean, they have to do something clearly, but they're gonna try to get someone good.
Yeah, it didn't surprise me at all that Brady was trying to get Stafford. I mean that was kind of like I guess anybody could have seen that coming, but yeah, I mean it's with with them, I feel like with how lean this draft is at quarterback, it might go back to kind of what you were talking about with the Giants, KT, where do you want to force your Jake Locker, Christian Ponder guy, or do you just kind of swallow the pill for one more year when you've already kind of been in the Gardner Minshew wilderness to begin with, and just, go for another stopgap and see if you have your guy? And I feel like that might be what some of these quarterback needy teams might be doing.
And I mean, the greatest athlete that's ever walked this earth didn't have any success in a management role in basketball. So if Tom Brady doesn't have success picking players, coaches, whatever that they allow him to do, nobody should be surprised by that. Just because you can do the one doesn't mean you can do the other,
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, that goes literally Michael Jordan. And also, if you look at in hockey, Wayne Gretzky, when he tried to do the whole coaching, all that, I mean, he's the greatest hockey player. It doesn't always.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's a good one.
But Larry Bird, didn't he get involved a little bit?
Yeah, he was a good coach, though. He was a really good coach.
Yeah, he was good.
He was coached in Indiana. He was really good, yeah.
All right, boys. Well, we will talk to you next week. Be a lot of action going on the next 7 to 10 days, and we will check in after free agency. Thank you all for listening and sharing on social media. If you do that still, that's a good thing to do for us. If you would, give us a good rating if you would too. The 5 stars. It apparently helps. And if you leave a comment, we'll respond to you. Follow that Discord as well if you'd like. I need to check back in there because we've been off for a little bit. So make sure you're following Saad and Kent over at The Athletic as well. You can catch up if you've missed anything that they have written. And who knows? Maybe John's got like a new report coming. Yeah, maybe he's sought someone out, and then approached them at the airport. No, that's nothing he would never do. He wouldn't do that.
Maybe something fun. I don't know. I don't know if we'll have time.
We'll have time. We got to go to Home Depot. For Kent, John, Saad, I'm Kevin. We'll talk to you next time on the One Star Cowboys podcast. Bye.
It rocked out completely.